We are in Pianello, Val Tidone, nestled in the beautiful hills of Piacenza, to tell you about a 40-year history, the story of Tidon Plastik. Come with me. Here we are. How was Tidon Plastik born? Let's briefly go over the key milestones from the company's inception to its growth.
Well, summarizing a 45-year journey of work in a few words is not easy. Tidon Plastik was founded in '79 as a micro-enterprise, and for several years, about 8 or 10 years, sometimes we didn't take a salary, and the next time it was the same. We found the relic of Tidon Plastik where I sent a letter to look for a job. I read it because every time I read it, I get emotional. Tidon Plastik SNC is a family-run artisanal company that has been operating in the field of plastic molding for third parties for about 8 years. Our machinery park is composed as follows: 3 electronic injection presses of 100 tons, 1 injection press of 45 tons, a material dryer, and a complete range of granulators for recycling waste. We also have a beat-up 242 van for deliveries and a forklift, also beat up for unloading materials.
Beat up is an editor's note.
We have also gained considerable experience in channel molding of various materials. From there, mainly thanks to meeting a mold maker who asked about if we were willing to test his molds, and he would introduce us to the people who would then do the molding.
Let's also mention the importance of professional collaborations.
In the meantime, with the addition of some important clients, we were almost compelled to get certified for quality. In fact, we started in '98, and by 2000 we were ISO 9000 certified. In my opinion, this was the first important milestone that gave us a bit of a breakthrough. What changed over the years? What happened was that both Ginevra in 2017 and Anthea in 2019 joined. And they were the ones who gave the company a new impetus. I wouldn't have been able to do the 4.0, it's just not in my DNA.
There was an innovative push.
For instance, they gave me the website as a birthday gift, but I would never have been able to do it, which, by the way, brought us a client that we hope will become important.
Did they come from the website?
They came from the website, they saw the website, and so on. In 22, we really had a boom. Thanks to the 4.0 initiative we started, we purchased 8 presses in 2 years, which significantly raised our quality level. For example, Bo, the machine is running and you can hardly hear any noise. Another very positive thing was that the girls gifted me was the participation in the Plast. So in September 2023, we exhibited at the Plast. Thinking back to that letter from '88, it seemed impossible that we would ever exhibit at the Plast. And yet, we made it. However, 2024 was a revolutionary year because my brother had repeatedly asked to leave the company, and we accommodated him. This also allowed us to manage the generational transition, as now the daughters have the shares registered in their names, and so...
They participate in all respects.
No, they don't participate, they decide, because I believe I was smart. As I took 2 steps back, they say no, but that's how it is. They decided right from the start, and they are very capable. They have proven it.
Certainly. And moreover, it's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing it, for sharing the letter we read together. And we can really see a snapshot of how it was at the beginning with a few presses and what the situation is today with a machine park, actually with over 40 presses. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are here with Anthea and Ginevra. Thank you for being here with me.
Thank you. Welcome to Tidon Plastik.
Let's start with a somewhat particular question. Ginevra, what strategies have you adopted to best combine innovation, sustainability, and digitalization here at Tidon Plastik?
We have adopted a holistic strategy, a comprehensive strategy. Total integration is the watchword that we have carried forward for several years. For us, it was essential to create an internal network, a company internal network that would allow us to interconnect the 43 presses, interconnect the management software, the Temi, which is the production control software, and the iMAGO, which is the software that monitors consumption. Once all these processes, all these software were integrated into our company network, it was crucial to integrate the people as well. It was the most critical step because at Tidon Plastik we had people, workers who had been with us for even 30 years. And so these people were somewhat resistant to change. We made sure to help them understand that all the information they could access on the company network were pieces of information that could provide them with concrete assistance. When they understood this, then there was a turning point, because the employees began to appreciate the topics, they started to appreciate the digital tools. And so it was at that moment that the integration between all the systems truly occurred. It is essential to integrate everything together. One should not think with a compartmentalized logic, everything must be united and have a clear and precise circle.
A holistic approach, as you rightly said.
A holistic approach is the perfect word.
So, no, very interesting, moreover, how digitalization and tools then also support the workers themselves. So many think they are control tools, but in reality, they make tasks, for example, of the machine operator, much simpler once they become familiar with the software.
Much simpler because they have all the information in the software that they didn't have before. In the sense that previously they didn't have quality controls. They didn't have information on orders. They didn't have information on scheduling, which now they can access with a click.
There's a lot of talk, about being increasingly data-driven, right? Guiding with data in this era and in production is crucial. And then being able to access this data is also essential. There's a great quote by Edward Deming that says, if you can't measure it, you can't control it. And this is perhaps exactly the case where digitalization allows for an all-around efficiency improvement, as you rightly pointed out. Let's now see how the generational transition at Tidon Plastik was, and how digitalization supported you in this transition, Anthea.
The transition was a complex one in the sense that the company, as Dad mentioned earlier, Saponia was managed by him and Uncle Carlo together since '79. So a balance and a relationship had been established that lasted for over 40 years. Therefore, our entry, which happened in 2017 for Ginevra and for me in 2019, somewhat shifted the balance of a well-established and solid company like Tidon Plastik has always been. We struggled to enter a company where everything was already managed in a certain way, and we somewhat disrupted the normal activities of the company. Slightly, the transition occurred in 2 phases. Now, the first phase, which was the most difficult, was the actual entry of Ginevra and me. And the second in 2024, when we effectively marked the end with Carlo's exit from the company and my entry at the corporate level, along with Ginevra's involvement in the shares of Tidon Plastik. We must admit, however, that Carlo and Giacomo have always been good, because even though they didn't fully understand what our goal was, which was to have complete digitalization, they allowed us to act with full authority, so we did what we wanted.
Was it a more gradual or more disruptive entry, Anthea?
No, it was quite sudden, but let's say that we approached it, in my opinion, in the right way, because, which is fundamental for me, we started from production. That is, we entered and did what is known as the apprenticeship. We entered and were on the machine, on the line, doing quality control, packaging, even manually inserting things into the mold to make them work. So let's say we didn't arrive and sit in the office to, excuse the term, command. So let's say it was a path that, yes, we approached with determination, because we entered and made ourselves heard, but we never stepped on anyone's toes. One thing I really wanted to add was that to serve the customer, as our father said, Wayne, which has always been the most important thing in our work, it was necessary to have a 360-degree view of what Tidon Plastik is.
Which is actually our strength, in the sense that Anthea and I have divided the clients. So each of us manages, Joe, our own clients, but we manage them in an absolutely vertical way. In hindsight, I think it was really the right decision.
The world of molding is still today dominated by a strong male presence. I often find myself talking to companies that are clients that do molding. And sometimes I encounter very unpleasant episodes. Recently, I had a conversation with a colleague who told me, I called the client, but he insisted on speaking with a man. Because there is this bias, this distortion that only men can handle and know the molding production process. How difficult was it, and how difficult is it still today for you to face a world with this male dominance? How have you tackled it as young women entrepreneurs?
Well, you are absolutely right in the sense that many times we have found ourselves talking to a technician from one of our suppliers. Maybe we had a problem, and when asked, are you talking to me? I am the contact person to talk to. The technician would emphasize, no, but I mean to speak with a technician, insisting there would be total silence on the phone in the sense that they struggled a lot to accept that their interlocutor was not a man as they usually have, but a woman. It must be said that we got a bit angry at first because it's not nice to be so underestimated. But with a lot of patience, we managed to show that the right person they should talk to was us and no one else. So the goal that we have always had was this. The press has stopped. Those who underestimate us, they do the same. We have to get the press running again. The other issue that was difficult for us is the fact that many people seeing us as two young girls who have just finished their university studies enter the family business. Ooh, allow me to use the term classic daddy's girls who arrive there and sit in the office drinking coffee. Well, this was perhaps the most difficult thing for us. So we had to fight every day with this perception to show the people we talked to that we were not just two girls, that we were not just the owner's daughters, but we were two people who put in all their effort and soul to keep the company moving forward. So our way of operating, of acting, allowed us to say, yes, Wama, we are girls, but we are still two entrepreneurs who are running the company. That's one part. The equally difficult part was with the internal staff, because these were people who had always dealt with two men, moreover, of a certain age, not two young boys. Taking orders from a girl who was half their age was initially tough. However, we managed to make them understand that we are two allies, not two enemies to be fought at any cost. Instead, with the clients, it has always been easier because the clients increasingly appreciated our way of dealing with them and managing the company and the relationship with the client itself. So yes, it's a very male-dominated world, but I think there are methods and abilities to say, yes, I am a woman, but what is the limit? It's only a limit if you impose it on yourself.
There is increasing talk about sustainability, about ESG trends, environmental, social, governance. There is increasing talk about reducing, for example, the carbon footprint of the product with new regulations like the CBAM. What are the next steps from Tidon Plastik to improve the company's sustainability?
Well, sustainability for Tidon Plastik has always been a main pillar that we always consider when we have to make strategic decisions. We have made many investments in this direction over the years. To name just a few, we have replaced older presses with state-of-the-art ones. We have revamped obsolete presses, essentially changing the core of the press. We have installed a 375 kilowatt photovoltaic system that allows us to have about 40% energy autonomy. We have purchased an electric van for deliveries. As you can see, we have changed the lighting in all departments, installing super efficient LED lights. So we have taken many steps up to today. What does the future hold for us? The future holds more investments for us, meaning that what we want to do is we would like to expand the photovoltaic system by an additional 10%, aiming to achieve about 50% energy autonomy. And then we started last year and will finish this year in July. An investment that we consider important because we have chosen 6 presses on which we will install insulating covers. The maximum consumption of the press is precisely due to the resistances. By putting these covers, we will see what the energy savings are. And if we see tangible benefits, we will expand these covers to all the other 43 presses. So this is an investment that we will complete in July, and then we will see how it evolves.
Good luck with the next steps.
Let's hope for the best. Thank you.
And now let's move on to practical advice. What tips or suggestions would you like to offer to other companies that want to embark on the same path to become more digitalized and sustainable, just as has happened here at TidonPlastik?
Well, for us, it was a long and winding journey because we started from a situation of digitalization that I would say was non-existent. Since in production, there was only the use of a paper card, and even the staff relied solely on the know-how we had or on a historical memory. With the introduction of Temi, we obviously eliminated this variable and introduced the possibility of having all the data available with a click. I often mention the word journey for this reason, because unlike purchasing a machine where you buy it, pay for it, have it delivered, set it up, and you're done, a digitalization journey is a path that has a beginning but probably no end, because in today's world, the only way to keep up with the times is to take one more step every day. And to do so, you must always be active and not rest on the current situation. The first piece of advice I would give is to do it. Don't let the initial obstacles that may arise during the early stages stop you. The other piece of advice I give is to rely on a supplier company that can support you in this choice and help you understand the main aspects of your work, because you might struggle to grasp some aspects since you're too involved in it. Instead, if you find a company that can help you with something you've never done before, because you've done digitalization once, but I've done it once. On the other hand, a company that does this as their job can certainly advise you on the important aspects. In fact, we are very happy with the choice we made to use Temi for many aspects, especially for the simple layout of the interface that Temi has. Because as Ginevra mentioned, the staff initially experienced a bit of a shock. They saw the work of a lifetime being changed. So we tried to make the introduction as smooth as possible, saying that over time, with simplicity, you will learn the daily tasks you will need to do from now into the future. You need to give it time, because after all,
there is a learning curve here.
Exactly, there is a learning curve. At first, they felt this was imposed on them and didn't feel involved. However, I think it was more of a mental block, though, than anything else. We relied on internal staff who seemed more open to change, and thanks to them, we were able to bring the other workers along. The Temi is really easy for me to use because at a glance you can see the code you're printing, the mold, currently on the press, the number of the press in question, and the progress of the work. Another crucial aspect for the operator is that at any moment they can check the controls they need to perform on that piece. So there is a history of what defects an item might have, allowing them to check more effectively.
The history.
Exactly. So everything is definitely very immediate and easy to use. I wanted to conclude by sharing a phrase that has accompanied us over the years, which is a quote from Darwin, not mine. That says, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one that is most responsive to change." And for us, this was truly a phrase that we would wake up to in the morning and say, let's think like Darwin for Maki, because it's the only way to move forward.
To evolve.
Exactly. So I would say that we have evolved and we are always in continuous evolution.
A beautiful phrase that also becomes a mantra, because evolving is the decisive step to be able to face a world of ambiguity and uncertainty like that of molding today. And keeping up with the times is what then allows you to face it in the best way. And another important point is also being able, as you said, to adapt, to change. Many companies might believe that their production processes are the best and then clash with reality, especially when it comes to efficiency, realizing that by improving certain steps or perhaps relying on a more digital part, they can actually have a significant advantage, both competitively and, as you said, even just in providing the specifications on pizza that the client requires.
Of course, this was fundamental for us. We challenged ourselves not to criticize, but to, understand how we could improve the company, how we could improve everyone's work. The company must have the direction to say, we all need to work well so that there is a global benefit. And not just for the individual person or the individual company. The only thing, Swan, is that, since Dad is behind the cameras, we wanted to thank you because we know the efforts you make and in having left us the management of the company. We are very happy with the way you reacted to our entry into the company. And the other thing is that all the efforts you have made for this company, I think, will not be in vain because we have shown you, and we will continue to show you day after day, that our interest is to continue this business which has always been a fundamental part of our lives, for both us and you.
I am absolutely sure that we will succeed in this.
Let me give a little applause. I'm alone, but let's hope it counts as one from 100 people. I wish you all the best. Thank you, Anthea. Thank you, Ginevra, for the testimony you have given us. Thank you also for the wonderful letter you read earlier at the beginning.
It's nice, isn't it?
Stay with us. Goodbye.